Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Income is the Outcome with Tim Whistler, where we believe it's not how much you earn, it's how much you get to keep. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio is the president and founder of the Whistler Agency, Tim Whistler. Tim, my friend, how are you this week?
I'm good, Kristen. How have you been?
I'm doing really well, thank you. I look forward to this time with you each and every week and to sharing it with all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. As we start off today's show, Tim, I would love for you to share about the tagline. You know, we always say this is the show where we believe it's not how much you earn, it's how much you get to keep. Right. How did that come about? And then I would love for you to also share the fun story you shared with me prior to today's show.
Absolutely. You know, it was some type of document that I came across years ago, just doing some research, and just the way they phrased that made that comment, I thought, you know what, that's truly exactly what it's all about. And we're not just talking about investing in the stock market, and we're not just talking about tax-deferred accounts. We truly are understanding that it's not how much you earn, it's how much you keep. And so whenever we are, on our podcasts, we constantly share that message. On our radio spots here in Central Illinois, we're constantly sharing that message as well. And in fact, the story you were talking about, we needed to pressure wash our deck recently.
Okay. Yep.
And our pressure washer, for some reason, wasn't working. I just couldn't get the thing fired up. I'm not a mechanic. I don't do that at all. I don't care to do that. So I contact the local rental store, and they said, yeah, we got one. Come on down and pick it up. Perfect. I go down there. And of course, it's the weekend, so I'm dressed not like this. I'm dressed in a weekend attire. I'm
very
ready to
casual, yes. As you should be.
Yes. And the guy just kind of kept looking at me. And I didn't know, why is he kind of looking at me? He goes, are you Tim Whistler from the Whistler Agency? I said, yes, sir, that is me. He goes, it's not how much you earn, it's how much you keep. And it was such a sweet moment from the standpoint. I'm like, yes, sir, that's exactly right. He goes, I hear you on the radio all the time. And he goes, I love the way you say that, because it gets me thinking about what I need to be focusing on as I get closer to retirement. Because I'm still a few years away. But just for somebody to repeat our message back to us, just really empowered us to know that the message is getting out there and people understanding that truly that is what it's all about. And that's what we're going to talk about when it comes to retirement. It's income.
Yes, for sure. And I love that because it shows it's really resonating with people.
Yes.
It's really striking a chord and you're making a difference. So
that's good.
That's awesome. Well, we've got another great show for you today. You know, the reality is, in addition to it not being about how much you earn, but how much you keep, it's been said that success in retirement isn't so much about the lump sum you've been able to accumulate over your lifetime, although of course that can play a factor, but rather your ability to take that accumulated wealth and then turn it into a reliable, ongoing, steady stream of income that's going to last you throughout the rest of your life. And this is what you specialize in doing for folks. You are a retirement income planner. So describe what it means to call yourself that.
So I think we've talked about this before. We talk about the two phases of life, right? The accumulation phase, the distribution phase. And this is the world that we live in. This is the world that we specialize in, because when we transition from those working years to the retirement years, we also transition from building wealth now to distribute wealth. And that's the world that we live in. So therefore, that's why we talk about the importance of talking with a planner, not just to address the concerns that are top of your mind, right? Is the market going to correct? How much am I going to pay in taxes? Whatever the concerns you want to address, we're going to address those for you, but we're also going to take it a little bit deeper. With the team and I that we work with, we're going to utilize making sure that, okay, while we're doing this for John and Mary, we're also going to make sure that we take care of this concern and this concern, because we don't want our clients to experience a surprise or regret down the road. So therefore, that's why we kind of take the approach of being an independent, holistic planner for every retirement income plan we put together.
And I love that, the fact that you specialize in retirement income planning. You know, you've used that mountain analogy, which I think is really powerful, and a lot of folks might have heard this, but with mountain climbing accidents, most of the accidents, they don't happen on the way up the mountain, they happen on the way down.
That's right.
And that is what you are doing, is you are being a guide for people to help them successfully navigate the descent, if you will, into retirement, where now you take what you've accumulated and turn it into that reliable, ongoing, steady stream of income that you can be confident is going to last you for the rest of your life. And so what we thought we would do today is actually walk you through what it's like to come in, meet with Tim for the first time on your journey to having him build you your very own retirement income plan. So let's paint that picture for folks. What happens from the minute that someone sees the television show and they call in to connect with you?
So what they're going to do is they're going to be connected with one of our team members, right? They're going to get on our calendar, we're going to find a time that works for your availability, and we're going to come in and we're going to have what's called a get acquainted conversation. And in order for us to be prepared for that meeting, you'll be given what we call a document collection checklist. That way it relieves you of the burden of trying to know, what do I need to bring in to share with Tim? So that way we'll provide that for you. Just simply go right down the list, grab the documents for those policies or accounts that pertain to you and bring those in with you. Then you'll notice that when we sit down at my conference room table, I don't really have a whole lot in front of me except a pad of paper, a couple of notes, and a pen. Because now we're going to have a conversation. And in the conversation we're going to have does not come with any type of competency quiz. You're not going to have to know everything there is to know about retirement income plan. There's no quiz.
Right.
We're going to
That's your role, right?
That's my role. That's
Yes.
exactly right. I serve that for you. But what we do then is we walk them through those discovery conversations, those discovery questions. So that way we come in, it lasts maybe 60 to 75 minutes thereabout. We don't want to rush it, but we don't want to take all day long as well.
Right.
People are busy.
Yes.
But we just basically want to establish a good foundation for not only just the numbers that they have, but also, more importantly, the philosophy behind the numbers. You know, in our logo, we have, you know, your values, your retirement, our focus. We want to understand what is on your mind. What do those dollars mean to you? What do you want those dollars to do for you into retirement? What do you want those dollars to do for you after you've passed away as a legacy? So we're able to kind of uncover and discover that at the initial conversation.
You know what it reminds me of is whenever you are planning a trip or you're using some sort of GPS, you want to know where someone's going, but you have to first put in the address, your starting point, right?
exactly
where
right.
you are, and that's really what you're assessing in that first meeting.
That's exactly right. We're discovering kind of where we're at, we're getting acquainted, and we're just kind of establishing the foundation for what ultimately will be that customized written financial plan.
For sure. Well, what do you find is typically the most common question or concern that folks have when they come in and meet with you for the very first time?
You know, it's very interesting. I remember years and years ago, I think the number one concern off of most people's minds was the fear of death. That was the number that people just did not want the thought of slipping into eternity.
Right.
But I think as, you know, medicine continues to evolve and people are living a little bit longer, now all of a sudden, I think the paradigm has shifted. Now most people have the fear of outliving their money.
Yes.
And I think if I would take a survey of people who come in and I ask that question, you know, what is the concern that you're looking to address? And I think a lot of people, and you watching today, you might have the exact same one. Are we going to be okay? Have we saved enough?
Yeah.
Do I have enough? Am I going to make it to the finish line? And I think that's the number one concern on most people's minds.
For sure, because I think a lot of folks, in the absence of having a solid income plan and being able to see that, either they're overspending and then they run the risk of outliving their money, or equally as tragic, they feel so fearful that they can't spend any money and enjoy their retirement, right?
That's exactly right. And that's kind of what was the premise behind the book, of license to spend. In other words, you know, it's so sad when you think about or listen, you know, to stories about lottery winners, professional athletes, people that come into an exorbitant amount of money that most of us will never see in multiple lifetimes, and then they go bankrupt. The common denominator, there was no plan. Spend, just frivolous, and all of a sudden it's all gone.
Right.
So therefore, that's kind of what the whole book is about. That's what our philosophy is all about. Let's understand not just the numbers, but the philosophy behind the numbers. So that way, whenever we create the plan for our clients, they now, again, like you said, Kristen, they have that roadmap. We can guide them right along that path, walk right alongside of them, not drag them along, walk right next to them, and making sure that they don't have to have that fear of, well, am I going to be okay? Are we spending too much? Or maybe we get too aggressive with our spending. We want to make sure that plan is in place to fulfill what it is they want to accomplish in retirement.
Yeah. Well, one of the phrases I've heard you say a lot, of course, the whole show is called Income is the Outcome, but this is actually a phrase that's part of this book, License to Spend, a retirement plan based on income, not if-come. That is so clever, because I think so many folks, in the absence of having a plan, it's a strategy of hope. They're hoping that they have enough, right? So talk about that phrase, because I know you take that very seriously. It should be based on income, not if-come.
Right. So if we play a game of Scrabble, and I use if-come as a triple word score, are you going to allow me to have that, or is that not allowable?
Nope.
It's not a real word, right?
Right.
It's not a real word, but I think it's pertinent to, I think, what most people experience today in maybe a plan or a lack of a plan.
Yes.
If the market doesn't go down too drastically, if I don't take too much income out, if the IRS doesn't change, if, blah, blah, blah. That is not a plan.
Right.
That is a lot of variables that we have very little control over. So therefore, we want to probably take a look at a deeper look and making sure, okay, we need to understand how to have opportunity for growth without taking on the risk.
Yep.
How do we create a tax-efficient withdrawal strategy, even though we have maybe the bulk of our dollars, like you said before, in tax-deferred accounts, because that's what we've been taught all these years. Defer the taxes today, pay them down the road. So therefore, we want to have that income plan that can help identify and alleviate hopefully most of, if not all, the if comes.
Absolutely. Well, if someone's watching today and they want to receive their very own written retirement income plan from you, what would you tell them?
I would say, as you're sitting here watching the show, chances are your smartphone's right next to you. Pick up the phone, scan the QR code, dial the number that you see there on your screen, and talk to one of our team members. They'll find the time that best fits your schedule. We'll have that discovery conversation. You'll have the opportunity to have those documents provided to you so you can bring in the right statements. We'll have the get acquainted conversation, and we'll just see if you find it appropriate to come back for the second conversation. Now we can provide you with that initial analysis and start to prepare that roadmap for you.
Wonderful. Tim, thank you so much. I'm excited to delve in even deeper into this conversation of building income plans for folks. But if any of this is resonating with you, if you would like to receive your very own complimentary written financial plan from Tim and the team of Whistler Agency, it's really easy. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call that number on the bottom of your screen, 888-992-7872. Or if you'd rather connect online, as Tim said, we've got you covered. Simply pull out your smartphone. If you open up that camera app, you can point, click, and scan that QR code that you see there down on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from the Whistler Agency will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary meeting that way as well. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to ask Tim some more questions about what it's like to build this retirement income plan with him. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, birthday party for Carolyn 5. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there or be square. Happy birthday to you.
As you can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Well, welcome back. You're watching Income is the Outcome with Tim Whistler. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and today we are peeling back the curtain on what it's like to come in and meet with Tim and the team and work with him to build your very own retirement income plan. And Tim, I know during that first meeting with folks, you ask a lot of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk about that.
It's I mentioned before, they're going to have that document collection checklist so they know what statements to bring in. But we're going to get to the numbers in a little while. The first part of it is me understanding them. I want to get to know the person. I want to get to know these people that are, what are the concerns that are on their mind? What are they looking to address? So, and again, the list of questions is not coming from a standpoint of being interviewed and
Or
creating,
being nosy,
exactly,
right?
nosy,
Right.
nothing like. It's simply just, hey, what brings you in today? What are some of the concerns that are on your mind? How long have these concerns been on your mind? For example, if somebody's still working, okay, perfect. Describe for me maybe what's your target retirement date? Are we thinking 6 months? 6 years, what is the case is. So the questions are easy because they're all going to know the answers because it's about their favorite subject, which is them. So that's kind of the battery of questions that we ask when they first come in for that first conversation.
Right. And I'm glad we're talking about this because I've definitely heard from people as I've traveled nationwide working as a financial educator. Sometimes folks are a little nervous to come in and have that kind of first appointment because they're going, I don't know what kind of questions I'm going to be asked and I don't know if I'm going to know the answers to those questions. But to your point, it's really an exploratory conversation and you make it so easy and you make folks so comfortable. And when people ask me what it's like to work with you, I'm like, well, what you see is what you're going to get. You're going to be treated with that same care and compassion. And I know that it's coming out of a place of you're just trying to gather as much information because the more information you have, the more you're going to be able to help someone achieve their goals.
That's exactly right. When it comes to that plan, the last thing we want is a vague plan. So we want to make sure that we have dialed in exactly what they're looking to do, not just what they have. Obviously the numbers are important,
Right.
but it's more importantly for me to understand what are the concerns? What are we trying to, check off the box? What's our goals? What's our timeline? I want them to paint the picture with a blank canvas. I want them to paint that with sunny skies, rainbows, and unicorns. It's perfect. I'll bring the storm clouds in, right? I'm going to make sure that, okay, we're going to check off all these boxes, but what if the market shifts? What if the IRS changes tax law? That's my job, and we'll make sure that we do that. But in order for me to do that first, those types of questions that I ask that they're going to be providing to me allows me to provide them back with a detailed report that speaks their language because it was their information they shared with me.
Right. And I love that, because really, again, at the end of the day, no two plans are alike, right?
exactly right.
Because no two people are alike.
That's exactly right. Right. Yep. So it's truly, when we say customized, that's exactly what it is. It's different for the Smiths from the Greens, everybody in between, and it's just different ages, different concerns, different dollar amounts, different legacy plans.
Right.
Those can vary from one household to the next.
For
so
sure.
again, we ask those questions just to make sure that we can really dial in what the client's looking to do, so that plan fits exactly what their needs are.
Right. Well, you mentioned this document checklist, right?
Yes.
That you have folks to kind of, so that they can gather their information and bring it into you. I know that another concern sometimes folks have is they might be leery of sharing their financial information as they're getting to know you for the first time. So what do you say for folks, what do you recommend that they bring in that's on that document checklist? And what would you say to someone who's like, I'm not so sure yet. I want to get to know you. How does that work?
Sure, absolutely. So, the document collection checklist, again, is designed just for points of reference, right? Because we might have forgot, I forgot I had that life policy, or I forgot about that old 401k. So that way, then they don't have to, bear that burden of trying to remember everything to bring in. We'll just give them the checklist, go right down the list. If nothing pertains, go to the next bullet point.
Yeah.
And then to your point, it's a very, very difficult spot for people to be in, just to be that transparent / vulnerable.
Right.
To somebody to share something that's very intimate. I mean, friends don't talk about their finances over dinner. So how would we feel comfortable talking about our finances with somebody we don't even really know yet?
Yeah.
And that's truly, so I just kind of encourage people to understand, if we want to be vague, that's fine. We're simply not there to pry into their business. We simply want to understand that when I look at a statement, I'm not just looking at the numbers. That's what they're looking at every month. Hey, did it go up? Did it go down?
Right.
Where my eye goes is, how is the IRS going to get involved when John and Mary start taking income from this account? Is it tax deferred? Is it taxable because it's jointly owned? Or is it tax free, our favorite bucket?
Right.
So that's the reason why I asked for the statement, just so that I don't mislabel something and put together an income plan like, oh, wait, that's wrong. That would not be a good thing for anybody involved. So that's why we kind of ask for the statements. Just again, not to be nosy, not to intrude on anybody's privacy. It's just so that we truly understand the dollars that you have and how we can make them best fit the plan that you want to have for retirement.
Yes, and organization is so key. You and I have probably heard this phrase, the financial junk drawer, right?
Yes.
So think of the junk drawer in your house. I know exactly where ours is. It's in the kitchen. It's that drawer that's got the batteries and the tape and the random stuff, right? But so many people treat their financial lives that way, and I think so many folks, Tim, don't even know what they have, where they have it. You mentioned old 401ks. That's a common scenario, right? Where folks have maybe left a previous place of employment, forgot about an account. How often does that happen when they come in and they're going through this checklist process with you?
Yeah, surprisingly enough, it does happen a little bit, as time goes on. I mean, that's why I always encourage people, as you're getting your statements, a lot of times you'll get your statements on a monthly basis. But now all of a sudden we're going to this society where it's paperless.
Right.
Now all of a sudden it gets lost in the Yahoo email with everything else going on.
Right.
So that's why as we're going through this, we just encourage people, if you bring the statements in, a lot of times it'll trigger that memory. Oh yeah, I forgot I worked for ABC Company for 3 years. I do have a 401k. I need to go grab that and bring that in.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
So I think that's why that DCC kind of works that way, that collection checklist. I think it serves a good purpose, just to try to trip the trigger or maybe jog the memory a little bit, maybe of some accounts we may have forgotten about.
Right, for sure. Well, and obviously if someone is filling that out and maybe they don't know all the answers to those questions, what do you say to people if they're like, oh, I'm not even sure, I don't even know where to find certain things? What would you say to them?
I just say, if you kind of, if hopefully we're able to kind of look back at time, maybe some notebooks or maybe that junk drawer, whatever the case is, however we have our filing system set up at home, if we can go through and just find some old statements and grab them. Even though it says on the document collection checklist, the most recent, if the most recent's 3 years old because you don't know where it's at, grab it, bring it in.
Right. Bring what you can find, right?
Exactly. Bring what you can find. That's
Yes.
exactly right. Because again, if we're not sure that account even still exists because maybe we rolled that over previously and forgot, call the number on the statement.
Yeah.
talk to the customer service number. So again, we can walk clients through that just in case they're like, maybe I don't remember if I have everything here or not. So.
Right, for sure. Well, I know you are offering this complimentary written financial plan. In addition, when folks come in, they're also going to receive a complimentary copy of your book, License to Spend. But why don't you just represent for folks what all goes into this complimentary written financial plan that they're going to be able to receive from you?
Perfect. So again, as Kristen said, we'll be happy to give you a complimentary copy of the book. It's probably nothing you probably really haven't heard before, but we just try to put it together in a standpoint of it's an easy to read booklet. But again, my favorite part of it are the client testimonials. That way you can kind of take a peek behind the curtain of what other people just like you, who once sat right where you're sitting right now, decided to make that call to come and sit down with us and have the conversation. Now you can hear from them what it's been like to work with us. So we'd love to put together that plan for you, but it all starts with the phone call. It all starts with you reaching out to us and us having the opportunity to have that get acquainted conversation with you.
Wonderful. Tim, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, again, this is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. This is simply an invitation to have a conversation to see how Tim and the team of the Whistler Agency can help and serve you. So to start your journey and claim your very own complimentary written financial plan, simply dial 888-992-7872, or again, you're also welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. When we come back, I'm going to ask Tim about some of the reports that he's going to be able to run when you come in for that complimentary meeting and what you're going to be able to glean about your very own retirement journey from them right after this.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Welcome back. You're watching Income is the Outcome with Tim Whistler. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, where today Tim and I have been peeling back the curtain on what it's like to meet with him for the first time and to start your process of building your very own retirement income plan. We mentioned before the break, Tim, that you run a lot of reports for folks when they come in.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk about what some of those reports are. I know first up you provide something called a retirement roadmap, correct?
That's right. So the income planning software that we use is simply called Retirement Analyzer. And it's such a powerful tool because not only is it utilized by other financial advisors, it's actually written by financial advisors. So they know exactly what needs to be in that software so we can provide a good comprehensive plan. So that report ultimately is going to provide what I call that retirement roadmap. And it's always interesting, every household usually has one of two different types of personalities. Those who simply want to know what time it is, and those who want to know how the clock is built, right? That report caters to both. And what I mean by that is for those people who want to know what the time is, they just want to know, are we okay?
Right.
Do we have enough assets? Do we have enough income to last us? Are we spending too much, spending too little, whatever the case is? That report will appease that personality. Then you look at the mindset of, I want to know details and I want to go deep. Perfect, we'll go deep. And that report will cater to both because, again, we can look at it through the micro lens, 1 year at a time. We can look at it big picture. And that way, then that report does a fantastic job. And then as clients continue to engage with us year after year, we update the report, provide them with a new roadmap, and making sure that we're still on that path that they started when they first worked with us.
I love that because it's not a set it and forget it approach. It's very hands-on. Life still happens. You have to make adjustments to the plan as someone continues to go on throughout life, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, you look at just what happened in our recent years, ups and downs of the market. Inflation is now starting to creep up. I mean, it has crept up. It's really high. It can change things a little bit, so we want to make sure that that roadmap stays current with what's going on in the lifestyle, which ultimately can impact the overall income plan.
For sure. Well, I know another thing that you offer is a Social Security optimization report, and we could do an entire show, I'm sure we will, on Social Security at some point because so much goes into that important decision.
It's exactly right. And that's the point where I just remind people, this is a big bucket of money. You've paid into this thing for a number of years, regardless of what your beliefs are with the Social Security system. I get it. I'm right there with you. However, if you've paid dollars into it and you haven't turned those dollars on yet, let's talk about that. Let's figure out what is the optimal time, when is the optimal time to turn those dollars on. And whenever I've given live events before, I always like to talk about the triplets, Stan, Earl, and Dell. Stan turned it on at his full retirement age, Earl turned it on early, and Dell delayed it. Who wins? Well, who knows, because we don't know how long we're going to live.
Right.
So if we have not turned on Social Security yet, we want to bring in our most recent report. We can input that in the software and then have the conversation. When should we turn it on? It's okay to turn on early at 62 if we need to.
If it makes sense for you,
It's
right?
exactly right. There's a lot of
Right.
variables that go into that.
Yeah.
It's okay to turn on at full retirement age. It's okay to delay it in certain circumstances, but we want to make sure that we understand, number one, what are the numbers?
Right.
And what are the philosophy behind the numbers? And we'll be able to incorporate that as an overall report.
I know you shared with me off air, once folks can actually see these reports and see everything in writing, it's a game changer, right?
I can physically see the relief coming off their shoulders. I can see people just taking a breath,
Yeah.
relaxing. I hear so many times, Kristen, when we leave the meetings, it's so wonderful to hear when people say, I feel so much better. I know there's a plan. I can see my numbers. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to take everything that they have built for all these decades, put it into a report they can decipher, they can understand, we can update it and review it, and making sure that they're on the path that they want to be on for those retirement years.
You know, as we've had this conversation today, Tim, I'm really struck by the value that you provide and the depth of information that you give to folks, and you do this completely complimentary. I know there's so many other financial advisors out there that easily charge upwards of $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 for a solid written financial plan, and yet you're doing this completely free. Why?
You know, that is something that I have been challenged on by other business professionals for a number of years. You know, they said, Tim, the value you provide, the advice you give is just as valuable as a doctor, as an attorney, as a CPA. Why are you doing this? And you know what? It just really comes down to personal conviction. I feel like this is what I'm called to do. I love what I do. I know that my Creator will take care of me when I look at Him first and put people's interests first above myself. That way, then I can just serve people. Hey, look, this is the information that I have. I can share these resources with you. If it makes sense, great. If it doesn't, great. We'll part as friends. It's all good. But that way, then we have the opportunity just to give them the opportunity to have the get acquainted conversation with no pressure, no obligation.
And you know what I love is this is what you wish someone had done for your dad back in the way, which was the inspiration for how all this
Yes, ma'am.
started, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Well, Tim, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us again to start your journey with the Whistler Agency and receive your complimentary written financial plan. It's really easy. Simply call 888-992-7872. Thank you so much for being here this weekend. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We look forward to being back with you next time here on Income is the Outcome.